Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, where right when we started there was four groups that we talked about or mentioned, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after mentioning those groups, calls mankind to come to his servitude, become his servants. And that is how you attain that clear consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to see everything through his meaning. So in other words, all your actions, all your words are influenced by his your remembrance of him, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about how those people who stray away from this, believing in either becoming his servant or believing in his servant Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they will be from that one group that he said, the group of disbelievers. Then those who don't, and they actually believe and they bring righteous deeds in their life, they will be from the first group, which is the group of the believers. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, as we speaks of a different topic, involves a different group, where first he says that إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَسْتَحْيِي أَن يَضْرِبَ مَثَلًا مَا بَعُودَةً فَمَا فَوْقَهَا فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فَيَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّهِمْ وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فَيَقُولُونَ مَاذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِهَذَا مَثَلًا يُضِلُّ بِهِ كَثِيرًا وَيَهْدِي بِهِ كَثِيرًا وَمَا يُضِلُّ بِهِ إِلَّا الْفَاسِقِينَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts by saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not ashamed of giving any examples of an example such as a mosquito, let alone a gnat, let alone anything above that. Now, when first of all, when we talked about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qualities and characteristics, this is straight for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only. Now, the quality of istihya, there's a lot of different qualities that both human beings have and qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have. The limitation within the human beings' qualities is different than the unlimited or infinite qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the perfect qualities. Whereas we have that quality but we're deficient in it, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has that quality but He's infinite and perfect in it. For example, the quality of knowledge. Human beings, we have knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Alim. The difference between that is our knowledge is limited and deficient. One, we only know so much. Two, whatever we know, we can forget it, or we can misunderstand, misinterpret. That's the deficiencies within the knowledge that we have. Whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows, and He knows everything. And there's no forgetting or anything that is not encompassed within His knowledge. So it's perfect knowledge. So when we have this quality of being ashamed, human beings have a different innate quality with being ashamed, and it's a condition that human beings have. One, they have this level of being ashamed, like there's a fear that you don't want to be ashamed, that certain actions or certain words can destroy your credibility. So there's that fear that goes with that, that you don't want to that thing to happen, or you don't want to do something that can bring shame to you. And then the endmost ultimate result of it is you don't do that action. So with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that beginning part where there's any kind of fear, it doesn't exist. It's just the endmost, the ultimate goal, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leaves that action. So in this case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that He will not there isn't any kind of shame for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to mention the example of a gnat or a mosquito. These things are so small. In other places, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the spider web. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the spider, the fly. All these different things, creatures that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, that most people, they consider them insignificant. If you look at the way poets write poems, they'll write about these things, but only after they've been influenced by the Quran. Whereas before, it's always things of power and authority, but it's again limited power with their own. That's why when they hear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words, that He created the skies and the earth and all that's in between, He's the Lord of the east, the west, and all that's in between, this shocks the Quraysh to be like, that's a new level of authority. Whereas the poets, they'll speak of things and they'll speak of power, but in a limited fashion and with whatever their experience knows. So now when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings these examples, it's a way to show that everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, there's wisdom behind it. Whether it be a mosquito, a fly, or something big like elephant or mountains or the sun, all of it has purpose. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not leave anything out as if something was done on accident or something was done without purpose or anything like that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will use all of His creation to get us to understand His greatness. The other thing also is that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions these things, like for example a spider web, this is one of the things that where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whoever takes a awliya, a protector other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's as if they're just like the spider who is dependent on their spider web. Like it takes its web, it's the livelihood where you see the spider creates the web and other insects come to it, it gets trapped and it eats it. Without the web, it couldn't do anything. So it relies on that web, but that web is so weak and frail that if you just wipe it, it just breaks. It's not heavy or strong that if you pass by it and touch it, it won't be able to break it. So in that sense that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to mention something so insignificant like the spider web, because he's talking about something just as significant, which is even more insignificant, which is their what their idols are, or what they're taking as a protector other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala challenges human beings to say, create something as insignificant according to you as a fly, that even if this fly, you can't leave creating it, if it takes something from you, you will never be able to take it back. And the scholars, they've dissected these kinds of ideas and think like, well, wait, how does a fly work? And after studying it, you'll see that a fly, when it eats something or takes something, it has to first liquefy it and takes it like a straw and leave. So even if you do capture the fly, or there was a way that you can take it back, you won't be able to, because what it took is already gone. So there's so much wisdom within these little parables and these little examples given in the Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions it and let the people know, even if it's something as small, it's something very intricate and perfect in the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created it. And if for us to do something like that, we wouldn't be able to. All we can do is look at the different creations and somehow try to mimic it. We look at the eye and try to create cameras that can give us lens to show other people. We look at the fly and we or the birds, and we see, well, how does it fly? Let's try to create a plane similar to it, and so on and so on. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us this example, and he says that anything less, as small as the gnat, or above or more or even less in other interpretations, it's all there, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give these examples for us to know who and what the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, how great Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Now when these examples are given, there's always different ways that you can understand it. Just like any sentence, someone can take it in spite, and someone can take it as meaningful. When a parent gives a child words, that child can take it as if the parent is mad at them or saying it out of spite, and say, oh yeah, well, I'm going to do this even more. Or they can take it as a lesson, be like, okay, well, I shouldn't do that. That will get them angry. So over here, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives these examples, they can be taken as a way to try to understand the wisdom behind it, or they can be taken as a way to say, to oppose and spite. So that's what happened, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فَيَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّهِمْ. As for those who believe, they know that, and they say that this is truth from their Lord. Let's try to find the wisdom behind it. What is this, the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives this example, whether it's the sun, the moon, the fly, the web, all these different things, the ocean, there's wisdom behind these things. Let's study it and try to understand the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within those. And فأما الذين آمنوا فيعلمون أنه الحق من ربهم وأما الذين كفروا فيقولون ماذا أراد الله بهذا مثلا. As for those who disbelieve, they say, what kind of example is this? What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want with giving such a insignificant or example, such as the fly, and we talked about the spider web and these kinds of things? Why would Allah is too great for these things? In other words, it's a reason for them to reject. No, this cannot be from Allah, because Allah is much far too great to mention a fly, to mention a spider web, to mention these creatures, these insects. What's the point of it? And they find reason to reject. So it's every way that we can take it. For example, there's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ says, he is not from us, he's not doing the deeds that we want, and he's not from us who doesn't have mercy on their youngsters and respects their elders. Now we can easily take that and be like, this guy's my youngster, I should be merciful to him. This person is my elder, I should be respectful to them. Or we can flip it and say, well, this person, I'm older than him, he should respect me. This person, I'm younger than him, why is he showing me mercy? So it can always be taken that way, where we can show it as a means of correction and self-correction and righteousness, and try to find wisdom behind it to make us better, or we can find it and because of it will make us worse. And we should always make sure that we take it in a way that has impact. Now, if I try to take a verse and apply it on everyone else, or take a hadith and apply it on everyone else, I cannot control the effect of that. I cannot control the result of that. I cannot force people to do that. How I can make it impactful is take it and flip it and apply it on myself. Who is my youngster that I need to show mercy? Who is my elder that I need to show respect? By doing that, we think that, oh, you know what, I'm the one that's being used. But in reality, you're the one that's attaining a certain way and being an example that eventually it'll come back around. Youngsters will start respecting you. Elders will start showing you mercy. So it's not, and the only thing is that when we do it that way, we know for sure there's going to be change. Because why? I'm applying it on myself. The only one that can change me is me with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Musa alayhi salam went to Fir'aun many times. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam went to Abu Jahl many times. And in the end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him that إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. That you do not guide whom you will, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides whom He wants. You do not guide whom you want, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides whom He wills. So it's there, and that's the example that we have where we can have a lot more impact if we take all these verses and apply it on ourselves. Through our action, we influence others, not through our words. Our words can help to bring understanding, but only if there's action behind those words. وأما الذين كفروا فيقولون ماذا أراد الله بهذا مثلا يضل به كثيرا ويهدي به كثيرا. That many, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strays with these parables, and many Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides with these parables. That whoever He wills. Now, there's a way to understand and say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala misguides whomever He wills. One way, if we look at يُضِلُّ بِهِ كَثِيرًا وَيَهْدِي بِهِ كَثِيرًا, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala estrays many, but it's not that it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forcing people to be estrayed. Allah doesn't need to do that. But it is we who, if we want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help, He will help us. If we don't and we're left to ourselves, it's like, because we're not asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help, or we're not trying to ask for guidance, I already know what I want this, I don't care about that, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will leave us to ourselves. So because He left us to ourselves, because we don't want that, it's as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is straying us. But if you want it, if you're not looking for your desires, but you're looking for truth, you will be guided. But if any one of us is left to ourselves, we will be misguided. وَمَا يُضِلُّ بِهِ إِلَّا الْفَاسِقِينَ. That no one is strayed by these except the fasiqeen. And the fasiqeen is one of those examples. So far we've talked about the believers, the muttaqeen, then we talked about the kafirin, the mu'minin, where for the one is the kafirin, the disbelievers, then the believers who are given Jannah. And over here, the parables that are used to astray those people who are fasiqeen. And fasiqeen are those things, those characteristics that are given to people that go out in public and openly sin. So there's different creatures that they used to call it the fawasiq in Arab culture. Things that just go out, like mice or rats or things like that. They would come out and they would touch things, they would eat things, but it would, because of that, they would corrupt the food, or they would, spoil the food and things like that. Or certain creatures in that time it was scorpions that would just come. They're not coming to eat, but if you somehow get close to them, wherever, they'll sting you, they'll leave. And a person will be left there stung by a scorpion and just left there, poisoned. So it's like those kind of things, they're considered the fawasiq, because they come out, they do something to spoil something or hurt something, then they just leave. So in the fasiqeen over here, in terms of a'mal, is their corruption, the righteousness within the society, that they're spoiling that. They come out, something is done, where if someone does it in private, it's between themselves. But if they do it in open, they can either entice other people, or other people may come and join them. And they're spreading, now they're spoiling what's there, the righteousness that existed, it's being spoiled. So in some cases, in one interpretation, this could be interpreted for the munafiq, that they're actually believers by their tongue, but they're disbelievers in their heart. So while they're acting like they're believers at certain times, they would go out and spread this corruption, which would spoil the society. And in times, one time, Aus and Khazraj, after going through so much effort with the Prophet ﷺ, They were able to make peace. They're able to become brothers. One time that we talked about, the head of Munafiqeen came. He said some words that got both of them to start a fight. That the Prophet ﷺ had to run out and get between them and plead to them that is the why am I here if you guys are doing this? And they stopped. So literally, if the Prophet ﷺ didn't come out, we only could have imagined what could have happened between people who had made amends, all because of this person who went out to spread this little corruption and spoil what they've already created from their brotherhood. So now we get this third group that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions is the fasiqeen or the munafiqeen or those people that believe or have knowledge, but they're spreading out opposite of that and spoiling the people, spoiling the society. So now with this, obviously we want to look at it and we want to see, well, one, the Quran speaks in so many different levels. We can only understand so much of it. But what we can do is try to study different things. I mean, there are people who study science and study other knowledge as well, and they take it and they look and see and compare it with the Quran and try to understand, bring this new level of understanding, this new perception that Quran gives them, and they only take that benefit from it. So they take that benefit from it. So us, we can do that same thing with the Quran as well and try to understand. So what is the level that I can understand with the Quran and how can I delve deeper into it? And that takes listening to other scholars speak about it, reading it or reading it again and again, reading the translation, trying to bring a new level of understanding besides just the nice vocals that recite the Quran. And inshallah, next time we'll talk about the different qualities that are connected to the fasiqeen, so we can know that, okay, these are the qualities that I want to abstain from, so I don't become one of those people that corrupt society, but I'm actually one of those people that improve and better society. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easier for all of us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for all of our shortcomings. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.